When I think about the leadership qualities needed in a new normal, I think we should start with the old normal. And how did we look at leadership then? What do we want to keep from that? And what do we want to toss over and not return to? For one thing, in the old normal, pre-pandemic, women were making gains in the workforce and in leadership posts in all sectors, but at much too slow a pace. We all know that women have paid a higher price in the pandemic, particularly those with high demands, both at work and at home, and we can't go backward. We need to both keep the gains we were making, but accelerate them. Secondly, leaders were newly focused on diversity and equity. And I think that's an important thing that we need to accelerate as well. It will help women, but also others for whom the path to leadership has been blocked or slowed. And finally, importantly, purpose was making its way into the boardroom. Companies were asking themselves, what is important beyond the bottom line? To whom do we owe obligations beyond shareholders? These are very important questions for leadership in a new normal as well as the old normal. So what's worth throwing over from before? For one thing, work was organized far too much as in office, in the seat, and that's how reward happened. We learned from the pandemic that workers and leaders who deliver can deliver from anywhere. And that is going to definitely benefit women and others who need time away from a physical office to also meet competing demands, but are committed to their jobs, committed to their organizations, and committed to leading. Secondly, in the old normal, risk-taking was often valued as a sign of leaderly bravery, risk-taking for the sake of risks. And male leaders who took risks that didn't work out were often given a pass, whereas women leaders who took risks that didn't work out were often paying a higher price with their reputation at work or with their jobs themselves. We can't have that carry forward. We need to take risks, of course, but in a calculated way, and we need to reward and punish risk-taking in equal measure, male or female leader. So what else do we need in the new normal? Number one, we need leaders who are listeners. We learned through the pandemic that not listening to science, not listening to what was happening on the ground had devastating, even deadly effect. Leaders who listen are leaders who will make a difference and make an impact in every sector. I think this particularly benefits women who are natural listeners and consensus builders. That brings me to my second piece. And in the new normal, we need to understand that decisiveness and consensus building are not at odds. They can coexist. We need to look no further than countries like Germany, New Zealand, Finland, Denmark, where women led the pandemic response with decisiveness and consensus building and inclusivity. There are many challenges where leadership doesn't work without followership. And followership involves listening and consensus building, as well as being decisive and taking calculated risks. Finally, we need to recognize that wherever you lead and whatever you lead, a company, a coalition, a country, you lead in a larger context. We need to understand that larger context, the context of an inequality crisis, a climate crisis, and leaders need to multitask in addressing their global challenges, their local challenges, their intra-organizational challenges. Women have been multitasking for millennia, so I also think that new aspect of leadership in a new normal will benefit women leaders.